Hi guys, Ronnie here and welcome to the workshop. Today I want to talk about 1x11 systems. Now if you watch my videos, then you probably already know that I've got 3 bikes currently and only one of them has a front derailleur. So why is that? There has been a lot of controversy going on lately with the release of 3T's new Strada Aero bike. And to be honest, it's a bike that I really like. And I actually thought about buying it, but that's for another video. Right now I want to give you some points and some comparisons between my systems. So if you have been thinking about a 1x system lately, then probably this is going to help you because well, I'm not going to say I know everything, but I have quite a lot of experience with this. And some arguments that people bring up against it or against 1x systems are silly at best. So let's just start first with my cyclocross bike. Now, using a 1x system on a cross bike, off-road bike, mountain bike, whatever, is not a new thing and it's not an unusual thing, and there's a very good reason for that. Firstly, with mountain bikes you get a lot more freedom when designing the frame itself when you're using 1x, but that's not the case. I'm not mountain biking and I don't intend to start with that. With cross, however, the thing is that on a cross course you can't go really fast, you can't achieve a high speed, and when you want to climb something very steep or you have a very slow section, then you're usually better off running. That means you don't really need any kind of huge gear range at the back or at the front. Now you might say that most World Cup professionals run 2x systems, electronically actuated most of the time, and to be honest, I think that's a bit more, it has to do a bit more about their sponsorships, because naturally their sponsors want to show off the latest, the greatest and most expensive products over there. And then if you SRAM, for example, would say, well, ETAP HRD is great, but Force 1, which costs 1/3 as much, could be even better, then it's just not good advertising. So we can't really compare in this case, I think, to what the pros are using. But anyway, my experiences with 1x and cross. On the front, I have a 40 chainring, and I think it's quite ideal. Some people might use a 42, 44, 38, but I think 40 is probably the best for most courses. As I said, you're not going to go very fast, and when you go slowly, you're better off running. Now, for general riding and training, I run a 36 cassette because I have some mellow trails in my area, and this bike is ideal for those. But outside of a race, you really don't want to run up those. So for training, it's good to have a 36 or 40 cassette. For racing, however, a 32 that I have here, it's what I use for my road bikes as well. It's from Red Cassette, super light, super durable, etc. I love it. But even a 28 might be fine actually, because on a course I don't think I have I have ever gone up to even a 28. So gear range definitely not a problem on cross. When it comes to chain security, the Force 1 derailleur or any kind of dedicated 1x derailleur, excellent. You're not getting any chain slap. Your chain isn't very likely to fall off. My frame has a little tab to prevent derailment at the front, but still I find that even without that, unless you ride in extremely muddy conditions, you're going to be fine by using just a one by specific chainring like this narrow wide from SRAM. Now, some people tend to run all kinds of ghetto one by conversions, and that's fine. But you need to be a little bit careful when it comes to chain security. So a clutch mech I find is not as important as they might suggest, because on my TT bike I run a non-clutch mech and it's perfectly fine. What's very important, however, is the chainring itself. So you might not need a clutch mech, although if you want to ride off-road you probably should have one. But I think the ring is absolutely crucial, because if you are running a chain that's designed for shifting, a chainring that's designed for shifting, then the chainring is designed to have the chain slide over it, and that's not good if you have only one chainring, because then the chain is going to end up on the floor. As for riding, with a narrow range, without any huge cassettes in the back, the gear gaps are not perhaps as close as on a road setup, standard 2x setup, but on a cross bike it's really not going to matter. You're not going to have a smooth pedaling cadence in the rough, and when you're trying to go fast on a technical circuit, I have found that really thinking about front shifting is the last thing I want to do. Even if you look at the pros who are running 2x, they're never really in their small ring anyway, so what's the point really, you know? So yeah, well, as for the actuation of the SRAM double tap system, it takes a short time to get used to, but other than that it's completely fine, very robust, very nice positive feedback both ways, so you know what you're doing. Perhaps unlike with electronics, where it can be a bit uncertain when riding over rough stuff. So overall, very good. Now you might ask, why am I only showing SRAM products regarding one by? Well, that's because it's the only manufacturer to support such systems currently for drop bar bikes, which is a shame. You could run, however, Shimano in a, well, if you check out a video I will link down below, I have done a Domani conversion, Trek Domani 105 hydraulic group set, one by with an SLX mountain bike rear derailleur. It's not the most simple thing to do, but it's perfectly doable and it works fine. So there's one option. And then it's even easier if you are running Di2, then you need a mountain bike Di2 rear mech, XT or XTR in this case, and you can set it up as well, although I'd like to point out the chainring is where the chain security is at, and the derailleur comes afterwards. Okay, so let's just get on the road bike for a bit. Now, road riding and racing is quite a bit different, because well, the cadence needs to be a little bit more smooth, and the biggest problem is that you really need a lot of range, because some road races are going to be or going to have a section with a 20% grade. You're grinding up at 8 k's per hour at 400 watts, 450, 500, whatever. And on the other side, you're going to be bombing down at 85 k's per hour on a 5311. So a regular one bike setup that well, basically replaces the front two chainrings by some kind of compromise, plus creates a larger gaining range at the back, I don't think that's a good way to do that. What I'm going to do, however, this next season on a road bike is the following thing. I'm going to basically replicate the setup that I'm using on my time trial bike. Now on the TT bike, you can again use the narrower gear range because, well, basically what I have done on my TT bike is I have a 54 in the front, 1132 or 28 at the back. So standard road cassette, no extreme jumps. What I've done is I've omitted the little ring altogether, because on a time trial you never really want to be in your little ring, because if you do that you're going too slowly. Yeah, well, joking aside, on most courses it just works. I have done 2 mountain time trials on that, and for one of them I had to use a 50 ring at the front, but I still got gear range where I could go as low as 15 km per hour at a decent cadence. So it still worked. Yeah, so on the road side of things, you might want to talk about or think about it a bit to the opposite direction. So you're not planning to replace the 2 rings. You're just basically omitting the gears that are too small or too big for that matter for a specific event. That's what I've done, and I really like that on a time trial bike. It's virtually foolproof even when you're going full gas, and you still only have to think about going harder or easier, and that's the beauty of it. Now the 3T bikes or 3T as a brand will launch a very special cassette that will make it actually possible to replace the double ring setup altogether, because you're going to have special gearing steps and a very small 9th cog. But I don't want to go through the hassle of fitting an XVD driver to all of my wheels. So what I'm going to do with my road bike, or an experiment rather, is to put a 54 front ring, keep the 1132 cassette, and leave the small gears at home. Now this of course isn't going to work on every race, but when I look back at my season, roughly 70% of the races were flat enough, so basically I never used my inner ring. So in these races I think I just shouldn't have it with me at all. On the road, chain security is not a problem, even with the oversized pulley wheel system or with a pretty light cage tension. I think that's partly down to the fact that this large system has quite a lot of inertia, so it does a good job of keeping the chain on. And then secondly, the Aero Coach ring that I have on my TT bike does a very good job of chain retention, because it has very, very long teeth. Unfortunately, that doesn't fit on this bike, on these cranks, because this one is not compact. So I'm going to use a regular Xing 54 tooth SRAM chainring. And the beauty of ETAP is that you can just mark up your derailleur and remove it and put it back anytime you want, without disconnecting anything, without readjusting anything. So you can just have it like that. Yeah, so 54 plus 1132 is going to be ideal for those high-speed races. Chain retention is hopefully going to be the same as on the time trial bike, and when it comes to a different race, I can just slap all this stuff back on. So what are we going to gain or lose? Okay, so we are losing an electronic front mag. That's quite heavy. We're losing the chain catcher, so that's weight. And if you look at it from the front, quite a lot of bulk. That means aero drag. Also no drag from the other chainring. Much smoother system overall. A bit lighter as well. And also a bit simple to operate, because again, in a race situation, when there's a breakaway, a split or whatever, sprint finish, you don't have to think about shifting your front. So this, I think, is a good way to think about one-by systems, and a good way to implement them without actually using that special cassette. Although I have to say I'm quite curious, and in the future I'm definitely going to try it. But with these wheels, I have 3-4 wheel sets now. Converting all of them to XD drivers would be a bit of a mess. And then I have these expensive Red 22 cassettes, and I really like them, so that's going to be a bit further down the line, but this definitely is going to be an experiment that I'm going to do, and then I'll be completely transferred to one-by. Okay, so I hope that you have found these tips useful, and perhaps they will inspire you to get on the one-by bandwagon, which is quite a lot of fun, I think. If you want to know more about my bike setups, then don't forget to tune into my channel and subscribe. That's all for today. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.